Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about how sometimes humans could mess up elegant technical solutions. Okay, so last week was an interesting week because Mark Zuckerberg went before Congress, right? So it was in the news all over the place. It was big news. I only watched the highlights of it in the evening on the news. I didn't have time to watch a lot of it, but I had a lot of clients who, while we were talking, they would bring this up and they want to talk in depth about it, and a lot of times they knew more about it than I did, which was kind of embarrassing. So I had to go and make sure that I followed this news story, right? And it's a really interesting, and I also had to make sure I had an opinion about it, so I had something to talk about, and I just kind of let it go, right? But but it's a really interesting thing. I mean, one of the things was really funny for us as developers, and I've seen memes on this, is some of the naive questions that were asked of Mark Zuckerberg. For those of you who know how cookies work and how you're being tracked and how targeted ads work and how machine learning works, a lot of the stuff that he was asked were really kind of naive questions. Like, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just do that? Right? And it's funny how non-technical people don't understand how technology works sometimes, even though to us it makes perfect sense, right? And there's so many times where we see very elegant technical solutions that are messed up by normal people, by lawmakers, and all this kind of stuff, right? So this Facebook thing's like a really good example, right? They're asking, why can't you just do this? Why can't you just do that? And it's like, from a technical point of view, that would be very hard based on the scale that they're talking about, right? The same way that they can't check to make sure, they can't watch every YouTube video that gets uploaded to YouTube to make sure that it's quality content. They have to have algorithms in place, and sometimes those algorithms fail. Another example is Uber. I think Uber is such an elegant solution and is executed very well, but then after a while you start getting people complaining about not getting holidays or not getting the right employment rights based on the country that they live in and all this kind of stuff, which makes sense, right? All this stuff kind of pops up, right? And when you look at the fact that we all have to have this cookie law thing on our website saying this site uses cookies, do you accept? And you have to say, yes, I accept, every single time. Or every time you update iTunes, you have to do terms and conditions. What an inelegant solution. I always like to think that there's a developer behind arguing against that. Do we really have to show the terms and conditions and make them approve it again? And there's a legal guy saying, yes, we have to cover ourselves, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, you always have these non-technical people who interfere with these elegant technical solutions, and a lot of times it's for very good reason, because we don't want to be tracked all the time. I mean, it is creepy the way it is. I mean, for me, I'm like of two minds about it, because I'm sure that having serving ads in the application and having them being really targeted, that probably benefits me financially, but as a user, I think it's kind of creepy too. So I'm of two minds about it. Anyway, I will tell you this story about this one time I was working in an investment bank, and we had a similar kind of solution where somebody just could not understand the technical side of things, right? So we had this application that people would assign who people's managers are. So it was like a head count system. So you could take a look at any employee, find out who their manager was, and you can see the whole hierarchy chain, right? But there were like thousands and thousands of people working in this place. So we'd have like 30, 40 new joiners globally a day. So everything would go into the system, and rather than have somebody go through who's his boss and call him up, somebody came up with a great idea of doing it based on cost center, because most of the time a manager's ahead of a cost center in this place. So they would be assigned a cost center, and then they would get assigned to that manager, and then that manager would do it. So I built the system that did the integration. So that was my first big architecture thing, right? So I built it all, and so when somebody comes in, we'd have their cost center numbers, and that's his manager, right? And it would just go through, and it would run the whole thing in a few minutes every night, a batch job, perfect, right? But almost every day I would have someone come to me saying, that's not his manager. And I said, well, yeah, but the cost center manager has to go and reassign it and everything. That's the way the solution, and I would walk through the workflow every single time, and she'd always say, look, if you're not sure who it is, just come and ask me. I'm sitting right over there. And I said, yeah, but it's not me who does it. It's the code that does it every night. Every night this thing runs and does the code. And she just couldn't understand it. She goes, yeah, but I'm sitting right over there. So if you're ever not sure, just come over there and ask me. I just say, okay, right? And then we do this thing every day for like weeks because she just could not understand how no matter how often I explained it to her, she didn't understand that I was not manually going through and making these changes, right? And sometimes I get the impression that a lot of the things that people complain about they're trying to write algorithms for, but they can't keep up, and it's creepy. So anyway, I just want to give a little bit of my opinion. I know it's all over the place, right? I'm of the two sides, right? I see how the technology works and I see how brilliant it is, but at the same time, from the other side, seeing why users would be upset, and when lawmakers get involved, then we have these messy solutions like GDPR. I don't know what we're going to do for GDPR, like the cookie law thing that goes on websites, like the terms and conditions we have to sign all the time. We just have inelegant solutions to really elegant, user-friendly technical things. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow.